the Bartender Rant Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Haley, and we are on site at a brand new location this week. We are at the Dirty Tom Mansion. That's right, we finally caught this motherfucker. We finally got him on the pod. Mike, I'm just going to throw it to you. You're my beautiful co-host. How happy are you today?
Did you just say ho-host?
Yeah, I think I called you a ho-host. I don't know. It's been a rough day, Mike, but I think we're going to turn it around right here. You beautiful son of a bitch, how are you?
We're back in Baltimore, baby!
That's right, I didn't even tell the people that yet. I'm so fucking excited. We got Mike back here in Baltimore. We got Dirty Tom wrangled, and it was a lot. I mean, there was some hog squealing.
Nets involved.
There was a lot of roping, a lot of rustling. You know,
he's a squealing.
He's a slippery character for sure,
folks.
Hey, did we tell you to speak yet? Just kidding. You'll be hearing a lot of that voice this episode. Can't wait to get in that. Mike, as we always do, let's do the rundown. What's new this week?
Okay, so obviously we're back in Baltimore.
Yes.
We're going to Delfest Light, which is going to be a good time.
Beautiful.
But I do have a good Kansas story for you.
I love it. Give it to the people.
All right, so I was driving down the road in my truck the other day, and I saw like a coyote fucking down in the ditch doing something.
Isn't this a Merle Haggard song?
Yeah, right. Saw a coyote in a ditch. No. But I was like, you know, it was kind of weird. So I pulled up, and when I stopped, the coyote ran away. And I looked down in the ditch, and there was this little black calf. Okay. You know, and the coyote is trying to get at him. So I was like, well, obviously, that coyote's going to come back as soon as I leave. So, you know, put the flashers on, hopped out of the truck, went down to get this old calf. And this calf he was kind of a fighter. I went up to try and get him, and he kept trying to headbutt me. And I was like, dude, I'm just trying to help you out. So
and this is just some random little calf.
Yeah, he was. It wasn't even like next to like a field where there were cows. So it was kind of weird. You know, sometimes a calf will get out of the fence. So I finally grabbed him, wrangled him up like Dirty Tom. And I put him in the back of the truck. I was going to go and try and find somebody to bring him to because I didn't want to leave him there to get eaten. And this is the kind of the fucked up part. I kind of figured if he was in the back of the truck, he'd just be cool. But I started driving down the road, and I'm like looking at my rearview mirror, and the calf's fine. He's doing his thing. And then I'm driving, I look back, the calf's gone.
Oh, fuck.
He jumped out of the fucking truck and hit the ground. I'm sorry. I love animals. I didn't want to cause this little guy any more pain. But I backed up.
You backed up over him?
No. I just went back, and he was fine. He was a little, worse for wear, but I grabbed him. This time I kind of like tied him into the truck. And I was able to find a local farmer, and they gave him some water, and hopefully. So now that little guy, he's safe, and he can grow up to eventually become burgers and steaks for all.
I'm really excited for him. I'm really excited. You did a good deed this week. That's beautiful. Now it's funny. That's actually a great story to tell. It's a perfect segue into this episode because number one, we have an awesome story about Dirty Tom. You and I are gonna force this story out of the goose being choked on the side of the road.
It's a duck, but yeah.
Is it a duck? Okay, my bad. So that's definitely happening. Number one, I'm glad you didn't choke that calf to death.
No,
that's at least
I'm not into veal.
At least that's the first step in a positive direction. The second one that's really interesting is when I first met. Let's just call him DT for now. When I first met DT, he once got to get out of school early because the horses had escaped. Or I think the cows had escaped. Some animal had escaped from some farm, and he had to go help wrangle them off the main road. And I was like, who is this child that gets out of school for free to go wrangle animals in the middle of the day? Isn't it like the 2000s? Like, what is happening here?
This is in Maryland. It's not even in Kansas.
Right. Do it. Yeah, this is not, this is not some podunk middle of nowhere. This is just a regular city. And it's very strange. Very strange.
Prof, that assignment's going to be late. I got to go wrangle some cows.
Hell yeah. Well, look, we're going to get right into it just so the people know. I was in San Diego last week, met a lot of really cool bartenders. We have a lot more, national bartenders that we're going to be doing and international bartenders that are going to be on this pod. So stay tuned. Keep supporting us. We can take more trips. I'm praying to God the day that Mike and I get to host a bartender from the bar in San Diego called Thrusters. It was such a shitty little dive. Remind me of...
This is a gay bar, obviously.
No. I mean, gay in the sense that I'm in love with it, yes. No, I mean, listen, I think it's a bar for all stripes and all colors, but it reminded me a lot of Auto Bar.
Oh, okay.
It was so... I mean, it smelled... it had not been updated with the decor in fucking 20 years. The beers were all paid for in cash. Half the taps were broken off. There was 2 fights I saw. Loved it. Loved every second of it.
Jesus Christ.
It was beautiful.
And before we transition and welcome our,
esteemed
guests,
yes.
I do have to say, for everybody listening, and thank you all for all of our regulars who are, being active on our social media. We really appreciate your feedback. We're having so much fun with this, and we really enjoy you guys, commenting and doing all that. It's great. Anytime that we say that we're releasing an episode and it doesn't get released on time, that is not Steve. That is me. Steve is handling the social media. I'm doing the episode editing.
It's not all on Mike either.
So anytime we're late on an episode or
we're
an episode
trying,
sounds
people.
bad, it's my fault.
It's not all Mike.
I'm the asshole. It's not Steve.
I appreciate Mike taking his licks. The point is, guys, we're working our asses off. We're trying to get as much content out for you as we can. We appreciate your patience. So without further ado, we're not going to make you wait anymore. It's time for Dirty Tom. All right, guys, we are here finally with Dirty Tom, and he has brought for us the only drink that Dirty Tom could bring for us. Mike, what is it?
Fucking Jameson.
Fucking Jameson. Goddamn right, Tom.
And he's got a goddamn handle, too.
Yes, he does.
He's not fucking around.
He doesn't fuck around. Tom, so happy to have you.
Thank you for having me, Steve. Thank you for having me, Mike.
We're glad we finally got to get you here.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
How are the bruises doing from all the wrangling?
I don't wrangle so much anymore.
Okay. I meant us wrangling you.
Oh, yeah. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm sorry it took so long.
It's okay. Yeah. It's all right. You're a busy man. You got a lot of priorities. So tell us a little bit about the drink you'll be making for us today.
Well, like you guys said, it's Jameson. Simple and sweet. Why would you want to change something so perfect or muddle it with any extra ingredients?
If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So listen, as we always say, don't just listen along.
Drink along.
All right, everybody, fill up those cups. Dirty Tom's going to pour Mike and I and himself a couple fatties out of the old Jameson bottle.
Yeah, now, a couple extra seconds.
That's right. Can we get a couple extra seconds for those listeners that listen to the Annie Gladbach episode? And while Tom's doing that, we're going to tell you a little bit. We don't have so much craft cocktail to talk about this week. Really, you just want to take the bottle and pour it aggressively into a glass until you can't pour it into that glass any longer. As Jesus would say, till your cup runneth over. But, I was doing some interesting research on Jameson this week. It's a really cool company. They were the first in so many things. The first in really bottling Irish whiskey. The first in international distribution of whiskey. The first to have whiskey on all 7 continents. There were a lot of really cool things. But the one that I kept coming back to is this crazy piece of information that the grandson of the original Jameson founder went on some safari in Africa and ended up paying some indigenous person to watch this indigenous tribal leader eat another human.
Oh my God!
And it became this huge scandal in the late 1800s, early 1900s. It was called the Jameson cannibal scandal, and it actually destroyed Jameson sales in London, England.
Really?
They didn't have stock back then, but basically their stock completely drops because they find out. Imagine Jeff Bezos's kid is like, watching some girl getting fucked by a donkey in Tijuana, and that's his thing, and that comes out. It's not going to help. It's not going to help Amazon. You know what I mean? So this was a crazy story. I got way down a rabbit hole. If anybody wants to check it out, there's another great podcast called Time Suck with comedian Dan Cummins, and they do a cool episode on that.
I've got to say, if you're eating people, I feel like Jameson would help wash it down really well.
No fucking doubt. No fucking doubt.
For some people, that would just make the Jameson a little sweeter.
That's right. Well, cheers, boys. Cheers. Happy to have you, Tommy.
Yeah, the person who's been responsible for so many extra minutes of me editing podcast episodes when we slip up and say your goddamn name.
Not just that, but the reason Mike and I even met in the first place is because of Dirty Tom. He brought us together, as he's brought so many people together that you'll hear on this pod, I think, and some really cool stories. So, Tom, without further ado, so happy to have you. Thank you for the Jameson. We always start out the pod with the Drinkton category. So, as a young professional, everybody's worried about their LinkedIn. Give us a little bit of your drink list. Tell us about your service industry experience, kind of what the extent of it is, and where you are now as whether you're out or still in the business.
Sure, yeah. I started in the food industry when I was 16 at a Target, at a Pizza Hut instead of a Target.
Okay. A little unconventional.
Yeah, a little unconventional, yeah. But it was a good job for a 16-year-old. Made a couple extra bucks on the side.
Wait, what do you mean? What were you doing at that Target? Sorry, go on.
All the hot moms.
Yeah, mostly making pizzas, but there were a few extracurricular activities too. Anyway, so I started when I was 16 at Target. From there, I moved up to be a busser at a restaurant in Parkville, and I stayed there for about a year. And
Parkville's outside of Baltimore for all you non-Maryland residents.
Yeah, like Northeast Baltimore. And from there, I went to a diner in Timonium where I was serving tables.
Nautilus.
Nautilus.
We've already said it.
It's
too late. It's too late.
Yeah. A lot of my stories today are probably going to come from the Nautilus because I worked there on and off for about 5 years.
Yeah.
About 5 years.
Not to mention, it was a pressure cooker of nonsense. I mean, I don't really know how to put it other than that.
Yeah. In between some of the shifts at Nautilus, I worked at an Ocean City bar, a bar in Bel Air, which is like further north of Baltimore, even further north than Parkville. And from there, I was working at a restaurant, bartending at a restaurant in northern Baltimore County. And that was the extent of my service industry. And
So
from there, I went on to sales, and now I'm in sales.
Okay. Yeah. So are you still you're done? You're out of the game.
Out of the game.
I think you are officially our first guest who's out of the game, except for last episode, our anonymous guest Zach,
which also was just.
But believe it or not, I heard through the grapevine he's back in.
Oh, really?
They roped him back in.
Oh.
So he's apparently starting a new gig soon. I don't know the extent of it, but we'll get you guys updates. You can go support him. So, but it's cool, man. You know, I know for me, there have been so many times where I'm like, yep, I'm out. I'm done. I'm officially done. I'll never do it again. Do you, honestly, like in your heart of hearts, can you ever see yourself behind the pipes again serving drinks? Whether if it's just for one night or...
Yeah. You know, I really like bartending. I think that, you know, as a person gets older and they like decide to retire and then they decide that they can't be retired, they have too much energy. So, you know, you see these old folks, they go and be like Walmart greeters or like
right.
or something. For me, that'll probably be back behind the bar.
Yeah,
that's
that'll
very
be good.
suiting.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what an old curmudgeon-y Dirty Tom's going to be like.
We're going to see it eventually.
16 whiskeys deep, you know what I mean? That's going to be fun. You're not going to get great service, but it'll be fucking fun as hell. So, well, that's awesome. I got to say, you know, we've been really, unfortunately, having some sessions recently where the opening of our pod takes a little too long, and that's partially because we've been a little too drunk when we've gotten started. That's partially because, like we said, Mike and I have been doing this remote. There's growing pains. So I appreciate you being efficient. Yeah. But that is you, man. You are like the ultimate efficient server. Guys, when I first met Tom, I realized very quickly that our serving styles were different. I was the talker. I was the guy that was trying to make a relationship with every table. I was the guy that was going to forget little things, but hopefully I was going to win you over with my charm. Tom is a motherfucking service terminator. The way he waits on tables is clinical. He doesn't want to talk to you. He doesn't want to hear about your kids. He doesn't give a fuck if you just got married. What he cares about, all right, is getting the food on your table correct the first time. And what I started to learn is everybody who hated me loved Tom, and everybody who hated Tom loved me.
I can see him bringing everything you need to the table, and then he says, "I won't be back."
Yes, that's really how it would be. I mean, the man was surgically efficient. It's a beautiful thing to watch when you see it in action. So I have to say, I was always really impressed by that.
Yeah. Look, if you came to the restaurant to eat, folks, you're gonna eat.
Yeah.
Let's forget all the frills, all right?
That's right. All right, well, that's awesome, man. Well, look, we're going to jump right into the gauntlet. This is the top 10 that Mike and I have kind of boiled down. We went through a lot of questions to try to get an idea of, like, the best 10 we should ask. And a lot of our guests have added to that, right? They've added questions that they think that we should ask, and we're trying to incorporate some of them. So this is the top 10, the fucking gauntlet. All right, so number one, first off the board, Tommy, pet peeves and misconceptions. And these can either be from the customer's perspective or yours. Doesn't matter. Just things that are pet peeves for you or misconceptions that people have about bartenders, service industry, all that stuff.
Yeah. Maybe I think my pet peeve will probably tie in pretty well with the streamlined service that I like to give. And it's overly specific orders or ordering things that aren't on the menu.
Right, off menu.
altering things that are on the menu. And look, folks, if you have an allergy or something, I don't really care. We can skip the tomato, we can skip the onion, or we can alter the the type of bread that we use on the sandwich. But don't go ordering a hamburger with 10 special order requests.
Right.
Just get a fucking hamburger, please. Same thing with drinks.
Right.
I don't know. I would always find myself getting a little bit frustrated if like a request from bartending was any more than 2 ingredients. If it's more than a whiskey Coke, what are you doing?
Such an asshole.
Well, we are sitting here drinking Jameson, so
Yeah, right.
I mean, just very Jamie.
Martinis, I don't do that.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. So, doesn't that hurt your upselling? And I'm thinking to myself, like, if you want to get a burger with all these crazy shits on it, that's fine. But I'm going to charge you $22 for that burger. I will do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'll tell you how much everything costs, but or maybe it's a cost benefit analysis for you where it's efficiency of service versus upselling.
Yeah, good question. I think there is a balance there from a business perspective. First of all, when you're special ordering like the hell out of something, like a hamburger, for instance,
Right.
First of all, the extra ingredients are probably going to cost like a couple bucks. There was the one burger specialty place that we both worked at for a while.
Right.
Where granted, you could order like things that would cost $1, $1.50 extra to have on a hamburger, and sure, you could get up to like a $20 burger.
Sure.
For the most part, those special orders are going to be like shit that's free. Like
Right.
I don't know.
Altering
like,
a salad.
Yeah.
One that I get all the time is, can I get a Caesar salad, but I want to add 3 things to it. I want to get a different dressing. I want that dressing on the side. And a lot of those requests are normal. Dressing on the side is pretty normal, but I can see where it can get a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right? There has to be a breaking point with this.
Right. So yeah, there can be an upside to having a more expensive burger, and sure, there's like more tip involved for that, better profit for the restaurant. But on the flip side of that, like it's much more likely that the kitchen's going to fuck up the order too.
No doubt.
You're going to have an unhappy customer, and everything just goes down the drain after that.
I don't know about you, but like when I'm at the table, my toes are curling when I know in my head that you're making my order difficult for the kitchen when we're slammed.
And that's a really good point, that people don't understand the difference between the server and the kitchen.
Yes.
That's an entirely different dynamic. That the kitchen staff, they have their own thing going on, and they typically do not give a fuck about what the servers want. They're there to, put out food and put out every order and get it well. And then when you're there making special requests, they get pretty upset about that.
I've been thinking about this. I've been trying to find a way to. This particular question is really about giving non-service industry people who go to restaurants advice about how to maneuver things better.
How to not be a piece of shit.
Right, how
when
to avoid piece of shit type of behavior. And so one of the things I was thinking about is this. What if somebody sat down and you walked up as a server and the first question I asked you is, what's your relationship with the kitchen? Because that is, I know that question's not going to go anywhere. Like, they're not going to be honest with you, but that's the real question. If your server, if the kitchen hates them or they can't communicate with them well and they're not assertive enough and they can't get in there and like really mix it up with them, you are fucked.
Well,
you are absolutely fucked.
Just really quick, I remember one of the kitchen staff that I worked with, and a customer asked for their steak rare. Right,
okay.
So that's pretty standard. But they were very specific about exactly how rare they wanted it.
Okay.
So you go into the kitchen and they're like, all right, they want it rare, but they want it. And the kitchen staff just looks at me. He's like, yeah, that's what fucking rare is. And now I already know that he's pissed off about my order.
Welcome to the Thunderdome,
Like,
bitch.
just-
That's
yeah.
how that question
Just
usually goes.
don't be too picky. Just try and order what's on the goddamn menu.
Yeah. There's been some stuff where a customer will special order request it, and I've just had to tell them straight up, like, the kitchen's not going to do that for you.
Yeah.
I remember once working at the diner, somebody asked for they wanted like the corn or something picked out of their Maryland crab soup.
Oh,
and I straight
my
up told her, like,
God.
woman, the kitchen's not going to do that.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, we're just not going to
Right,
do
you're
it.
gonna
order
you-
something else.
and
They're
even
not
if we
gonna do it.
try, there's one that's gonna slip through, and you're gonna be disappointed.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's a lose-lose proposition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to jump in on this category before we move on because I had one this past week working myself behind the bar that I have to get out on wax. People, listen to me. If I come to your table and I say, does anybody need anything? And somebody orders something, do yourselves a favor. Look down at your drink, look down at your plate, and make a decision then. Because if I go and I get that person's beer, or I go and I put that food order in,
get back.
and I come back, and then you need something, what I will be doing in my head is pretending that you're bursting into flames. I want you to die. I hate you more than life itself. The idea that you could not figure out you needed something when I was just there, and now I'm double running to your table when I'm slammed with 7 other tables. Go fuck yourself. Do not bring your business back to my establishment.
I can't figure out why he hasn't brought my ranch back.
Oh
it's been like at least 5 minutes.
Well, that's because you asked me after 3 other people at the table ordered a beer, and now I'm running, and it's so hard to time things. Pay attention. That's all I'm asking for is a little bit of customer awareness. You are having your fun at that table, but I'm taking care of 6. So just keep that in mind. So, all right, that's a great one, Tom. That's actually the first time that we've had additional orders as a pet peeve. I love getting unique ones.
You like extra work. He just doesn't like it.
No, I mean, look, Tom, if you want your food quick, correct, and hot, Tom's your man. All right, but just don't be ordering crazy off menu. So, all right, tell us.
Now the flip side of that is drink orders too. I never worked in too many like specialty cocktail bars,
craft cocktails.
Yeah, but Mike, you worked in a couple of specialty cocktail bars, and if you try to like change up the like the ingredients or the concoction,
you fuck up the drink.
You're totally gonna fuck.
That's what Steve's brother Tom, when he was on, a guy, he ordered a white cranberry Cosmo.
Yeah,
but he ordered with gin. It's not
that's
not a fucking Cosmo. And he's like, this doesn't taste right. Yeah, no fucking
shit. They ended up having to
shit.
make it 3 times.
No, that was his first drink order.
And Tom said, "Well, why don't you make it?" At that point.
So exactly. Don't fuck with the established orders. Just go with it.
And look, if you don't love the established orders, go find a bar that you do like
now,
that offers what you need, right, or what you want.
I will say too, it depends on what bar you've been to, because we made a crazy concoction for a guest who had a couple recommendations, and it turned out to be it was with chartreuse. I literally still have the drink in my like little drink book
because it was so damn good.
It was so good. So sometimes you just got to feel it out. But yeah, try not to fuck with the orders too much.
It's about how they present it, though. Yeah. It's about how, and we've talked about that time and time again. So that's a great one. Let's move on. Best tips, worst tips.
Yeah. I mean, like anybody else, I think I've had a couple of 0 tips. Zero
right?
tips.
Sure.
Yeah.
Any like good timing ones? Like I remember when we're talking about the diner, I had a 0 tip on Christmas night, working an overnight from Christmas Eve to Christmas. And it was like a $140 check, and I got a 0 stiff. And Husto actually took off after these motherfuckers into the parking lot and berating them, and that meant a lot to me. That's all I need to ever know about Husto as a manager. I was like, he's gonna go to bat for me, but that's different than just a 0. That's a 0 on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, that's brutal, man.
Maybe they didn't celebrate
anything like
Christmas.
that. Not that you can recall. That day was a slap in the face.
I think I had like a really low one on Thanksgiving one time, and I was already bummed out because I was missing Thanksgiving with my family.
Right.
To be here to serve these people who thought that they should come to a restaurant on Thanksgiving. And they gave me like a $5 tip on like a $100 tab.
Christ.
I was pretty angry about that.
Took care of you.
Yeah.
Christ. But what about the flip side?
Best tips. I've had a couple of pretty good tips. Nothing like $1,000 tips or anything like that.
Well, yeah, you're not fucking shaking your ass or anything.
Well, we all know about the $1,000 tip that we all were privy to. That it will be on this pod very shortly. I don't know if I can say her full name, but we all worked with a girl that got a $1,000 tip and decided to not share it with anybody else in the restaurant.
I didn't work. Did I work with her?
You did.
I didn't even know about this. What a fucking bitch.
Yeah, well, you'll be able to say it to her face very, very soon.
I know who we're talking about.
Yes,
now.
you do. Yes, you do.
I'm collecting. I'm collecting my fucking share of that.
So my thing is, one time on Christmas, when we were, you remember the burger joint. I think we've mentioned it on here before, but the burger joint. We had 2 really good regulars, Tim and Jen. You remember Tim and Jen?
Yeah, I do.
Right.
Yeah.
Tim and Jen were high rollers, right? Threw money around all the time. And they come in one day, and it's Christmas Eve, and I'm working, and they give me $500. And their words exactly were, take care of everybody,
Nice.
right? And I said, okay. Now,
and they knew and trusted you enough that you wouldn't just pocket that. And
they
not say
did,
anything.
and I could have been a shithead about it because they give me he gives me $500 bills, and I could have put that shit. I was the only bartender, right there. The service staff had been completely cupped. We were only doing bar service at the time. I could have put all $500 in my pocket and never said another word because I was the only bartender that was going to get closed on those tips. I took $200. and I took the other $300 and I dispersed it throughout the staff. I gave our dishwasher $50. She spun like a top. She never seen that much money in like at one time in her whole life. Blew her fucking mind.
Was she like 13 years old or
no,
something?
I mean like
Laotian chicks.
I mean, can we be honest? Can we be honest? Like, you know, like I think one of the things about this pod is like Mike and I have tiptoed around a lot of sensitive issues, but some of this is just being honest. A lot of times, dishwashers in restaurants are foreign workers, don't speak a lot of English, right? Not getting paid.
No English at all.
Yeah, not getting paid a lot, and so for them, when they see a $50 bill, that's the world to them, right? And that's like a minimal amount of what I'm getting. So I gave every cook a 50. I gave the dishwasher a 50. I made sure the busboys got a 50.
That's awesome.
You know, and that's how you're supposed to do it.
Well, and that's kind of a cool thing too, because it's so customary to tip the front of the house. But like, you know, people say my compliments to the chef.
Right.
Oh, give them $20 and
be
say,
like, here's a 20 for the chef.
Give it to the chef and the line cooks, because those people are working their fucking ass off. They're dealing with so much shit.
That's one that I don't even do that I should probably start doing.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. So, all right, let's move it on. Number 3, worst drink orders.
Worst drink orders. I had this one. There's one specific incident that comes to mind. I was working in Ocean City, bartending in Ocean City, and a guy comes up to the bar. It's like 11 o'clock in the morning, and he sits down, and he's kind of a younger guy. He's by himself. He looks like he doesn't really know what he's doing in the bar, and he sits down and orders a tequila and root beer. So
Did you card him at least, please? I just imagine some kid walking in. It's like, yes, it's like a trench coat with a kid underneath. It's like, I'll take a root beer and a tequila.
You know what they call that, right?
What?
El Loco Root Beero.
If it was an undercover
the crazy
cop,
root beer.
If it was an undercover cop, they would not have been ordering a tequila and root beer. But anyways, so I made, and besides that, I never card anybody.
Thank God you're out.
Yeah. No, so I made it for the guy, and you know, he drank about a quarter of it, and then got the sour look on his face and paid me and left, and that was it.
What the fuck?
Oh God. All right, I'm doing it, dude. I'm so happy you just told the story. I made a new friend. His name is Jude. He's a beautiful person. I really like Jude, but I start telling Jude about this podcast, and he says to me, he goes, "Oh, you're a bartender?" He's like, "I got a go-to drink I'm wondering if you ever heard of. It's called a Malibu Dew." And I was like, "I'm sorry, what now?"
Is there Mountain Dew in this?
I'm sorry, what now? And he goes, "Yeah, it's Malibu and Mountain Dew."
God damn it.
And I go, "What the fuck?"
Wait, you're still friends with this guy?
Dude, so listen, I swore to him that he said to me, "Look, do not come onto the podcast and disparage my favorite drink. Do not come on here and talk shit." So I promised him I'd be impartial. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna say to both of my guest, Dirty Tom, and my co-host Mike, let's just do a vote. We're gonna go around the room here. So Dirty Tom first. How does the concept of a Malibu and Dew strike you?
I think I drank it when I was 16.
Okay, all right. Mike, how does the concept of a Malibu, coconut rum, and Mountain Dew strike you?
We've already talked about Malibu on this podcast.
Right.
You can't order Malibu unless it's mixed into another liquor or it's your great-grandmother.
Okay, right.
Those are the two exceptions. So then pouring that into the fucking radioactive waste that is Mountain Dew.
Correct. So
what are you doing?
I don't drink Mountain Dew.
How could you even order that at a bar?
Correct.
With any dignity at all?
So listen, for all the people out there, please get on our social media. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Patreon, we're on Instagram. I want to hear what you have to say about the Malibu Dew. Help me out here. We're going to get Jude involved. I think that the other part of this drink, he might also add 151 rum to it.
Oh my God.
I think what he does is he goes half 151 rum to spike up the alcohol content, Malibu, and then Mountain Dew. I think it's all three parts. And so you got to get shitty, but dude, I don't drink Mountain Dew. So
do bars even have Mountain Dew?
Yeah, right.
We just started
it's
carrying
definitely-
it. We just started.
But it's
carrying
not on
it.
the soda sprayer.
We
right?
do that. We
Oh
have it
my
now
God.
in the soda sprayer. But anyway, I told Jude I'd be impartial. So Jude, there you go. We'll see what happens. All right, let's everybody write in. Give us your opinions on Malibu. Give it a try. I don't know if you're a Mountain Dew fan. More power to you. I don't care.
I don't know you, Jude, but fuck you. That's fucking trash.
All right. So number 4. Ultimate mistakes, fuck ups. All right, these can be yours or your coworkers.
Oh my god, I've had so many fuck ups. The worst ones that come to mind are spilling drinks on customers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
and
dude.
the one incident that comes to mind is I was working like back to back double glass of red wine onto a girl and her blue dress.
Ooh.
It was the worst fuck up that I've had there.
So
which
purple
restaurant
dress.
was this?
This was at the burger place.
The burger place.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
God, yeah.
Very nice girl, very nice dress, and she was obviously there with some people that she had just met, which
Oh.
made it even worse. So she was super cool with it. Thank you. If that girl in the blue dress ever listens to this, thank you so much for being cool and not freaking out on me, because holy shit, that sucked. And I'm sorry.
Question: how did they tip you?
Yeah, interesting question, Mike. I find that sometimes when you fuck up just a little bit on a table, they'll tip you more.
Yeah,
than they
we've talked about this.
So we've been talking
because
about
they
it.
feel
This
bad.
is the theory on this pod, and Mike, we need to come up with a name for this, because you know, like, what's it called? What's it called when you get kidnapped and then you like
Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome, right? Where you start to love your captor. We need to actually come up with a name on the show for the concept of huge fuck ups that make you more money, because I really do believe there could be a cool social experiment with a bartender or server that intentionally spills and drops things. Like, if you have a great relationship with management, see what it does for your tips.
Yeah.
What if your tips skyrocket just because people are sorry for you because you're like a wounded animal? I mean, that's I guess we could call it choking the duck, but like I don't know.
I always call it like a pity tip in some sense.
Pity tip.
Pity
I mean,
tip. I was just on the reverse side of this just the other day. I was at a diner having breakfast or something with my girlfriend, and as the server's carrying the tray to our table, he spills the entire tray onto our table.
Wow.
Onto the table
and
too.
Glasses and like fucking food and dishes just go all over the place, and everything shatters.
And
And everybody
you
looks at this
felt
guy.
that feeling before.
I felt that feeling, and I felt bad for the guy. And I tipped you. Goddamn right, I tipped him like a 20 on like a $15 tab.
No doubt.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tom, I told the story a few episodes back about the marching band. You remember when we were working at the diner, the marching bands would come in one time a year and they'd close down the diner. And Tom vouched for me with the owner. If anybody remembers this story.
Yeah, the blood on the pancakes.
Right, the blood on the pancakes. And so the very first table out, I break a plate. I cut my hand. I don't realize. Start bleeding all over this kid's second plate of food. And I bleed all over the pancakes. And so, yeah, I mean, I know everybody knows that feeling. It's brutal. It's brutal. But, all right, Mikey, tee us up on the next one.
All right, so we've talked about blood on pancakes. It's a good segue into health code violations. Now, these could be either intentional or unintentional, but we want to hear something kind of raunchy, something that could be considered a felony in most states.
And as we always say on this show, protect the innocent.
And the guilty.
Yes, very important.
Yeah, health code violations. At the diner, and this was not the diner's fault, it was the server's fault, because there were some grimy motherfuckers that work at diners.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I was reminded of a name the other day. I'm just going to give his initials to you two, and we'll see if we can figure out. CM?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he kicked me out of his house one time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Just his hair just makes me feel icky.
Yeah.
Like the thought of his hair in my head.
Yeah. So I've seen at the diner, I saw like pancakes hit the ground or like sausages roll under, like roll under tables and stuff and still make it onto plates.
Oh my god.
Like under a refrigerator and pull it out. Oh, Christ.
Just wipe it off, blow on it a couple times.
Oh my god, one time there we had this, they brought up like some grapefruit juice or something, and I poured some out, and I looked at it, and it looked funny, so I looked at the label on the grapefruit juice, and it expired like 3 years ago. That was a pretty bad one.
Get rid of that inventory. Come on, let's go.
I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm going to go in. Do you remember when I got banished from the Baltimore location and I had to go work at the Annapolis location?
Yeah.
Right, and I was working overnights there.
Yeah.
Remember, I'd go down Fridays and Saturdays and work overnights.
Yeah, but you guys were crazy. I remember when I was living here and you guys were working at the satellite diners.
That's what I'm saying.
And I know, driving so far and working shifts.
It was shit shifts, but here's the thing. I was in law school at the time, right? And so I couldn't work over a certain number of hours. And so I had to make my money however I could. Yeah. And if you remember, the guy that ran that other location, do you remember Tony?
All I ever did was, like, I think I picked you up there or something one time.
Right.
Yeah, that was it.
So Tony's total psychopath. I mean, this guy sat in his office, and his office was like a cliche. It was a bunch of old, like, early 90s box televisions stacked up on each other, and he just had soccer games from all around the world on every television, and he just sat there in his office chain smoking cigarettes and fucking gambling on soccer all day long.
Oh my
This
God.
man was like the walking epitome of like the terror of a boss to work for. But he would pay me, no lie, he would pay me $80 to every weekend to come down and work there. So I'd get $80, right? Which is obviously way more than my gas.
For showing up.
Just for showing up. He'd pay me $80, and then he'd keep me off the books. I'd work the Friday night overnight and the Saturday night overnight, and sometimes the Sunday morning. So I'd work the Saturday night overnight, and I'd work the Sunday morning breakfast rush. And I was making enough money to survive at the time. I mean, I was paying my bills, I was paying for school, and everything was fine. And I remember it's late one Friday night. It's got to be 9 or 10 o'clock. I have a group of a small table come in, maybe a 2 or 3 top, and one of the ladies at the table orders a chicken Caesar salad entree portion, and make it, bring it out, sit it on the table. All of a sudden, I hear her scream, and I come running back over, and there is a little cockroach, completely covered in Caesar dressing, crawling off the side of the knife. It had clearly been in the lettuce, and they had missed it when they just missed it. Either not washed the lettuce or chopped it. And this thing, and guys, this is more common than you think. It's not necessarily the sign of a dirty restaurant. It's just like, look, bugs get into produce. That's why you gotta wash your shit. Yeah. That's why they say when you buy produce for a store, wash it.
My whole thing is like, the more.
Dude.
If you expose yourself to a lot of that, your immunity is going to be built up.
But you're from Kansas. You eat bugs.
You eat bugs, right? Like, having a bug in your salad is gross, man. For most people, that's gross.
It's gross. I agree. I'd still finish the salad. I'd get it comped, but I'd still fucking finish it.
They got more than just a salad comp. Let me tell you that. Yeah. All right, well, that's a good one. Look, right now we're going to take a quick break. We need to fill up our glasses. Probably need to have a heater. All right, guys, we're going to be back here with number six, ratchet and crazy customers here in just a second. All right, we are back, boys. Cheers. Tommy?
Get your shit together. Let's go, man. Cheers.
Thank you. That's some goddamn beautiful-looking whiskeys right there. There's nothing like that color.
Jameson does really go down smooth.
Oh, it's like sweet vanilla. All right, so let's hop right into it. We're going to do ratchet and crazy customers, or we did add a little bit of a wrinkle to this category. They can also be memorable customers. We don't always want to make it seem like these are bad people. Sometimes they can be somebody that just really was impactful to you in some way. So,
yeah, the most impactful guy to me was a crazy person. That's okay. He was a customer at the burger place that we worked at, and the burger place had an inside bar and then an outside patio.
Right.
And this guy, I wasn't his server, thank God. But there was something that must have gotten fucked up with his order, or maybe he was just having a really bad day. And he decided that the best course of action to vent his anger or his frustration or whatever he was going through was to take his hamburger and literally throw it up onto the second floor roof of the bar. So that's what he did, and it was caught on camera. It was awesome. And that's all that happened.
Is there any chance that we can get this video? I'd love to upload it.
It probably exists somewhere on social media.
I have so many questions, but I'm going to limit my follow-ups to this. Number one, who had to go get it down?
I think it's still there to this day.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Was he when he's like, look, I know you have the burger this way, but I'd like the pickles deep fried, right? I don't want the red onion. I want yellow onion.
Tom
okay?
checked up.
I don't want regular ketchup. I want spicy ketchup. And then when it finally came out, it was obviously fucked up.
Yeah.
And then he had to take his vengeance out.
I think so.
And checking on the roof. See, that sounds like a job for the newest barback. Get on up there, Glenn.
It sounds like a fucking prank, honestly.
Yes, it does.
We need to go get a burger off the roof here.
So, like I said, I'm going to limit my follow-ups, but this is a really important one. Have either of you ever watched The Wire?
I have not.
Okay. A little bit.
All right, so there's a famous episode of The Wire where the police chief, his name is Bunny Coleman, who runs West Baltimore, is kind of having this philosophical dilemma within himself where he's finally given up. He doesn't want to police the way everybody's policing anymore. He wants to change things in Baltimore for real. And him and another cop are standing outside the precinct drinking, and they're drinking beers, and all of a sudden they smash the beers up when they're done, and they chuck them up onto the roof, and the camera pans up, and there's 5,000 beers on the roof of this police precinct. And I'm having this weird feeling that if you would have taken all the customers that hated Mike and Dirty Tom and I over the years, and you panned up to the roof of that metaphorical building that they were sitting next to, there'd just be a bunch of burgers sitting up there. These motherfuckers.
So this is really random, but I have to say it. Justin, who we've mentioned on the pod many times, very, very good friend of mine. At his old high school, he had a magnet, right? A very powerful magnet. And there was an awning above the entrance. And he wrote "fuck you" or something on the magnet on the side that didn't, that wasn't magnetized, and he threw it up on it, from the underside onto the awning, right? So you look up as you walk underneath, and there's just this magnet that says "fuck you." But here's the thing: magnets have a life.
Do they really?
Yes, magnets are not always going to be magnets. Eventually, it will lose its
magnetism,
magnetity. And eventually, some asshole is going to be walking into school. He's going to get hit in the head. And he's going to what the fuck? He's going to look down and pick it up and just going to say, "fuck you."
That's awesome. That's awesome. I hope it falls and he has to turn it over.
Yeah, exactly. I just hope it falls and hits him in the
head.
Ooh,
a penny!
Or her. We're very progressive.
Women can pick up magnets, too.
Anybody can be hit in the head, people.
That's right. All right, Mike, give us number 7.
But before we go to number 7.
Oh,
okay. I have to tell this story while we're on the fucking pod. Because we brought it up before about Dirty Tom choking the duck.
Well, I thought that's what we were gonna do for this one.
Okay.
No, do it for
I'll
crazy.
Lead it into it.
Do it for crazy ratchet.
We're getting into crazy and ratchet customers.
No, we just did crazy ratchet customers. You drunk bastard.
Right.
We're getting into fights and arrests and fires. Number 7. Give us the duck story because you can't think about anything else, and I understand that.
I have to get this out. I have to tell the people.
Do it. And give Tom room to defend himself.
Okay, but the thing is,
wondering if this story should be in the health code violations.
So Tom and I, we all three of us have known each other for a long time, and for years ago, I remember Tom. He was getting his shit together. He's younger than me, and he was like, "I'm getting my shit together." I was like, "Good for you, man. I'm gonna play some Skyrim and drink some Jameson." But I remember him fucking packing letters and putting his suits on and going to work. And one day I just got this random text from him. He was like, "Hey, do you know how to clean a duck?" And I was like, "Yeah, why?" He's like, "I've got a duck for you." So I guess what happened was Tom was driving to work, and a person in front of him, a mallard, flew across the street and hit this fucking duck.
Other driver hit this
mallard. Different driver hit it. Yeah. And it didn't kill it, but it broke its wings. So this mallard falls to the side of the road. It was trying to get up and fly away, and it can't because its fucking, wing is broken.
It'll never fly.
It'll never fly again. Yeah. And Tom pulls over to the side of the road, by the way, in his suit and tie, and walks over to this helpless duck that's struggling for life. And at the same time, a jogger who's running by comes up, and the jogger's like, "Hey man, we should get to an animal sanctuary." And Tom's like, "No, this duck is
now we do need to pause. Tom is a man that loves animals, so I don't want this to be misconstrued by you PETA loving people out there. And look, I understand animal love. We are not here to disparage that, right? But Tom also has some practical roots.
I love animals so much that I wanted that duck to be out of its misery.
There it is, right. Tom grew up with some farm connections, so he's got some practical roots. So, we joke around about Dirty Tom, but part of the Dirty Tom is the fact that Tom's at home in a smelly barn, and it doesn't even faze him. So he sees his duck. He wants to put it out of its misery.
Yeah.
And who can blame him?
Yeah. So the jogger's like, we need to take it to an animal sanctuary. And Tom's like, "No, this duck's done." So, yeah, here's the thing. If you were raised in Kansas like I was, you would have known that what you need to do if you're going to kill this duck is you need to grab it by its head, and they call it ringing it. You wring its neck. So you grab it and you just twist it around really fast. The body flies behind it. Crack. The neck breaks. The duck dies, right? Tom apparently was not raised in Kansas, and he didn't know this little trick. So the only way he could figure out how to kill this duck
Let him hop in here.
was to...
So tell us, how did it go down?
Yeah. Well, I didn't know that trick, but I knew that the duck had to be put out of its misery. So what do? I mean, I was standing there on the side of the road in my suit and tie looking at this poor duck, and I said, what do? And the jogger certainly wasn't going to do anything.
You're not going to curb stomp.
That guy's jogging. He's a fucking pussy. Come on, listen.
You're not going to it's not like the jogger's going to run it over. You know?
Yeah. So I choked the duck.
Now you've heard of choking the chicken. This is choking the duck. And I love this because I wasn't here for this, obviously, but I just see Dirty Tom standing on the side of the road in a suit and tie, Baltimore traffic going by early in the morning, and this man just standing out there in front of a horrified jogger, choking a duck.
Now the crazy, the other crazy thing about it is, most people after choking a duck, if you're somebody that will choke a duck, would like kick it in the bushes and let a coyote get it. Instead, this man brings it home.
He had a cooler in his
Has our other roommate field dress it, and the next thing you know, I got a whole duck carcass in my freezer.
So he texts me. He's like, "Do you know how to field dress a duck?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do. Why?" He's like, "I got one for you." Brings it home. So I go out in the alley with the fucking rats when we all lived together. Field dress this duck. The wings were all broken to shit, so I couldn't save those. But we cleaned it all up, and you cooked it up real nice. It was a delicious duck. And you know what? Some people might be upset about this. I think that we did that duck a service,
Well, it's basically like a Viking funeral.
He put it out of its misery, and then
there are certain cultures that eat their elders once they pass as a sign of respect and reverence.
Yeah, as one of the the family members from Jameson can tell you.
Oh Christ! All right, I'll have another. That's good stuff.
But it was a delicious duck. The trick with duck, a lot of butter. After you strangle it to death, a lot of butter.
I think the trick with everything All right. Well, anyway, so number 7, fights, arrests, and fires. Tell us about some crazy fights you may have seen. I always I've been on record here. I love a good fire. I love a restaurant fire. It's not a good thing, but it's fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Depending on who you are at that restaurant. If you're the person trying to put it out, it's not fun.
I have a good fight from this past week if you don't have one.
Honestly, in all the time that I've been working in restaurants and bars, I haven't had anything that absurd happen with fights or fires or arrests.
I feel like that's because when you were there, you just set the tone.
That's right.
And people were like, I want to get a little bit crazy, but this guy over here,
Tom has a very stoic demeanor, and so I think it brings a sense of calm to the building, but also slight intimidation.
They're like, I feel like he could choke a duck out on the side of the road, I'm not going to fuck with this guy.
Well, so I was at my bar a couple weeks back, and I saw the first fight I've seen since COVID happened, and it was incredible.
Were they at least wearing their masks?
No.
Oh, but that's just.
Well, the mask mandate had been lifted that night.
I don't care, man. If you're gonna fight somebody, you need to wear your mask.
I hear.
It's just considerate.
The mask mandate had been lifted, and we put out the word that we were going to do a mask-off party. Mm-hmm. And everybody comes and packs the building. It's probably not super safe, but everybody comes and packs the building. We're having a nice time. And then all of a sudden, and dude, it was like old school. Some guy bumps into another guy and spills his drink. And without thinking, the guy who had his drink spilled turns around and just levels this motherfucker. Punches him right in the face, tackles him to the ground, and all of a sudden, 3 of the dude's friends who got tackled come running over, jump in, or throwing punches. A bunch of bartenders jumped in. We're like diving in between these people. One of the other bartenders jumped up on top of the bar and is screaming at everybody, "Get the fuck out! Shut the fuck up! Sit the fuck down!" Just running shit. And I'm watching all this about 20 feet away. I'm like, America's back, baby! We're fucking back! Here we go! Pandemic's over! It felt so good. And, look, we got the scuffle cleared out. They took it out and they fought it out in the parking lot. Just like old times. So, All right, let's just keep it rolling. Number 8, sex stories. Any great bar sex stories? Things that you saw, things that you did.
Yeah, man, restaurants are dirty, dirty places.
Yes, they are.
It says Dirty Tom.
Yeah, man, I am not at liberty to disclose any information on this topic.
Oh, come
Wow.
on. Come on. Give us, you can't say that and then
You
not
can't
give
even
us
give
a
us
little
one
bit.
anonymously.
You don't have to
or
say
in
any
theory.
names.
It doesn't have to involve you.
Yeah.
Just say girl met boy.
Or
and they fucked in the
boy
line.
met boy, girl met girl, guy met duck. You know? you got to share a little bit.
All right. Well, I was working in Ocean City at a bar that Steve worked at as well. We had one bartender who was this, like, kind of, I think he's like a gross old dude. I'm just going to say his name, because if he's out there listening, he's not going to give a fuck.
We've
Chuck.
said his name.
Chuck, I miss you, Chuck. And
Chuck's dead.
Chuck might be dead. Yeah. And Chuck was a bartender at this bar, and somehow he would like get these chicks who were just like all about him. Maybe because he gave them alcohol for a living. And we had an elevator that came. This bar that we worked at was in a hotel, and there was an elevator that came down to the restaurant and went all the way up through the hotel. And Chuck would go in this elevator and just like fuck these chicks. And just like push the don't go anywhere elevator button, and then finish up, and then come out and keep bartending.
He had a manager key to the elevator.
Was that the
Yeah, we talked about this on one of the previous episodes.
Just briefly, but
Yeah.
he would lock the elevator.
Yeah.
Do you remember how many times we like needed him as a manager, like in a heavy bar
So
rush,
many
and
times,
we couldn't
yeah.
find him, and then all of a sudden you look over and the elevator
Okay.
doors are
So-
rocking
so
back
now-
and
Yeah, he
forth.
comes
that-
out smiling like an idiot.
Now
goes
that
back
we're
to bartending.
revisiting this, is Chuck like a good-looking guy?
No.
Chuck, and I'm trying to think of like somebody. Are you familiar with what Steve Buscemi looks like?
Yeah.
Okay, Chuck looks like Steve Buscemi with a Justin Bieber haircut
What the fuck?
from like
That's
circa,
exactly.
I
from like
gotta-
circa 2005 Justin Bieber,
For-
right? The big, like the long Justin Bieber hair.
For any ladies listening, I would love to know, what is it? What do you want? Because for guys, it's pretty simple. You know, we want a nice girl, you know, good personality, funny,
Shut
intelligent.
the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up. But a
You've
pretty
had
girl.
all those things in your life, and you ruined it every time. You keep pushing them away.
You know what? That is not on the table right now, okay?
Yeah,
What
because
is
of,
it?
like,
What
like-
is it about these fucking ugly guys who get good pussy? I honestly don't understand it, because I look at that guy. I think if I was a woman, I would never fuck him. But apparently, he's desirable for some reason. Why? Because he has a fucking key to the elevator. Write in and explain to me what
I
I
always
need.
wanted to fuck in a hotel elevator.
Explain to me what I need to do, because I'm obviously fucking up.
Yeah.
Chuck's got
Now
it.
look, Chuck wasn't scoring 10s, granted, but you know, there were probably like 5s.
Oh, okay, well, never
5s to
mind
8s.
then.
He pulled some 8s.
You
You know
think
what I
he
mean?
pulled some 8s?
I have to say, at this moment in time, I don't feel like we're really appealing to the female audience, but that's fine. Hang in there, female listeners.
Bullshit.
We will have more
These
female
ladies,
perspective
these
and
ladies are
bartenders.
listening and they're like, "Oh, let me tell you, all right, Mike."
There might be a few listeners that are like, God damn, Chuck was the best I ever had. All right, number 9, bar hazing, pranks, and games.
Yeah.
This is your category.
Yeah.
This is literally why we built this category. It's for you, dude.
At the diner, we had so much fun.
Did we? Did we though?
At
Yes.
the diner, we had a great time. At the diner, it was run by Greeks, and most of the employees were like middle-aged to older foreigners. And then, so it was that kind of demographic of people working there. Let's have another one.
Okay,
We had a
fuck
bucket
it.
for it. Come on.
All right, we
For
got.
anybody just listening, and we might cut this out. I walked around to get the bottle of Jameson, and Steve was like, "Hey, we've got another episode
That's
to record."
because we got 2 more episodes to record, and this motherfucker's gonna get wasted again.
I can take a nap. God damn it!
Oh, can you? Can you take a nap?
the
Because
people already know I'm great drunk.
we're
They
gonna
love
get.
it.
You're gonna get wasted. I'm a great drunk too. I love when you're drunk. You're super fun. But one of the things that's really hard to do is when you get wasted and you're in Kansas, and I'm trying to do a pod with you, and all you say.
Hey, what is it? Not in Kansas anymore.
That's right, but all you said for 45 minutes was saltwater crocodile over and over
All right,
again.
let's go.
Anyway, Tom, continue. Bar hazing, pranks, and games.
Right.
So we're at the diner.
Yep, we're at the diner. It's mostly older people who work there, but then there's also this group of like 20-something-year-old like white dudes who work there too. There's probably like 5 or 6 of us. So naturally, all that we did was dick around all the time. Especially when there was a new 20-year-old white guy who would come and work there too.
As you do.
Yeah, as you do. Yeah. So, so in terms of dicking around, I mean, if you ever been carrying like a very, very large tray of food at a diner, and somebody comes up and like shoots you in the face with a rubber band,
or tweaks your nipple,
or decides to draw all over your arm with pen. I mean, I had pen all up and down my arm.
I had arm
all up and down my pen.
Pretty much the entire time that I worked there.
That was a good one. I can't believe we haven't told that one on the
No,
pod.
we did.
The pen?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Maybe I forgot.
The Maze of Cox, you don't remember?
No, but we were talking about how we used to we used to draw penises on server pads and hide
You
them
also
places.
talked
Oh, I forgot about that.
That's one of my favorite.
Yeah.
You remember what we used to say?
There were dicks hidden all over that restaurant.
What we used to say was every 5 minutes when I don't get seated at table, I'm drawing a dick and I'm putting it somewhere.
Yeah.
So we'd hide them everywhere.
So you brought this up on a previous podcast.
Okay.
I'm glad we get to revisit it because this actually makes me feel all that more close to you guys because at that first pizza place that I worked at,
Right.
I also got bored. And
we know.
Yeah.
Told the people.
At one point in time, it was a really slow shift, and there was a bunch of extra dough, so I basically took the dough and I made a ton of little cock and balls.
Of course you did.
A bunch of little cock and balls, and then I hid them. Not where customers could find them, but
Did you bake
all
it first?
over the
Did
back.
you at least bake it first?
No.
No,
I just
raw
had
dough?
cock and balls, and I just hid them all around the back of the restaurant, in the freezer, by the kitchen supplies.
Yeah.
And I just love that because I feel like even though we didn't know each other at that point in time, I just feel like we were destined to be together at some point.
There's something about young men and like phallic symbolism.
Yeah.
When we were working at the place in Ocean City, we just started there. We'd only been there for like a week, and again, it was a young group of us, 20-something-year-old guys working there, and so we drew dicks on everything naturally, on all the food and all the food containers that were in the walk-in refrigerator, and then the health inspector comes in.
Oh.
And she's shining her light through everything. We're walking through with the manager too, and you can just see the health inspector put her flashlight on a dick on the mayonnaise, and on a dick in the blue cheese, and on a dick in the cocktail sauce, and the manager looks at me, and I look at the manager, and couldn't do anything. So the health inspector just signed off what she needed to do and walked away.
There's no law against drawing dicks on stuff, right?
That's right.
That's because we're in fucking America.
I mean,
right?
there is a law about it. It's public indecency.
Is it though?
For a commercial business.
It's art. Okay.
Maybe it is art.
It was a protest against the fucking man. Okay.
I will say this. I mean, to me, there's nothing like drawing a dick on someone else's arm when they are carrying a tray of big food. Mm-hmm. I had totally forgotten about that. We used to attack people, we would hide and attack people like a rolling street gang of you ever seen the movie Warriors?
You know what I'm thinking?
When you start coming out with pens,
you know what I'm thinking of is the Bottle Kids from
yes.
Trailer Park Boys.
100%.
Oh, it's the Bottle Kids.
Bottle Kids.
You're just carrying a tray out, and all of a sudden, oh shit, it's the pen guys, and then boom, you're just covered in pen.
Basically that.
Also, what happened a lot there was the towel whipping.
Yes, towel whipping.
I was trying to do shit, and I didn't know you guys very well. And then you would all just come out and start whipping the fucking shit out of me with wet towels. And blood blisters galore.
Towel whipping was a good one. Now, before we move on from this category, Tom, Dirty Tom, I'm going to address you by your proper name.
Thank you.
Your God-given name. We have, on multiple times on this pod, brought up the fact that you partook in one of the greatest serving games that has ever been. You actually came up with it. It is the very simple serving game of bad posture at a table. And it's still to this day one of the things that made me laugh harder than I've ever laughed.
I can still see it in my mind.
So can I. Where you would walk up to a table and you would turn sideways and wait on them profile to where you were not looking at them at all. Or you'd walk up to a table and you'd spread your legs as far as you could to where you were eye level at the table and you were like Steven Seagal, karate pose. Right up against the table. And
also, people, you need to know that Dirty Tom, was the person who trained me in the service. I did the pizza thing.
Right.
He trained me in the service industry on waiting on tables and all that, which eventually led to me bartending.
He's an unbelievable server.
But it's so weird to see your mentor walking up to a table and then spreading their legs.
And it's so weird to see anyone doing that and not laughing.
Yeah.
If I was doing that, I'd be tripping out. I'd be laughing so hard, like what crazy crap am I doing? Dude, this man was stone cold, taking orders. What can I get you? This is totally normal. Nothing's weird.
Normal.
This is totally normal. Nothing's weird.
Also, didn't you walk up to a table and literally fucking shit your pants? Yeah, you literally walked up and farted, and then acted like nothing happened. It was like, yeah, so what can I get you?
What do you want me to say? I can't comment on that.
Well, what I want you to say is, in regard to the posture, where did that idea come from? What were you thinking when you were like, what I'm gonna do is just weird posture at the tables? Were you watching like too much Mr. Bean?
I never even noticed it. I never even thought of it until.
Oh, he's just a crazy person. That's all it is.
That's right. So he wasn't even doing a prank or a game. He was just living his life. I will say, I have once done the elevator prank. When you walk onto an elevator, and if you've ever been on an elevator, everybody faces forward. If you turn around and face the back wall in an elevator, people think you're a terrorist.
Yeah.
I mean, people lose their mind. They start moving away from you, and it's kind of like that. It's proxemics. It's how people stand in public, and it was just so funny to watch Tom do that. All right, you're almost through the gauntlet, buddy. Number 10, firing and quitting stories. Give us your best stories, and what do we call Mike?
Getting 86th.
That's right.
Getting 86th. Yeah. Have you guys already told the trip to New York?
we haven't told it properly. We haven't told it properly.
Yeah. So I worked at that diner, and I got the guy. Teddy, the guy who ran it, was really a saint because he fired me and let me back on like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, he asked about you the other day. I just ran into him.
Did he?
Yeah, he always asks about you.
Yeah. Well, the one time I did him pretty dirty, and the diner was open 24/7, even on holidays. I think once in a while they closed on Christmas because the guy did have a partial heart. But working those overnight New Year's Eve shifts were the worst. You wanted to be out partying with your friends, and instead you were at the diner, and really nobody even fucking comes in anyway because it's New Year's, everyone's out partying.
Yeah.
So I'd done that a couple years, and me and my friend Brian, who also worked there, said to ourselves, "This will be
on the pod."
We said to ourselves, "This is the year that we're not going to do that." But of course, we couldn't take off. Everybody had to work because it's Greeks, and they expect you to work all the fucking
That's
time.
right. It's
that's fucking racist, but we'll continue.
Yeah. So anyhow, we keep in mind, folks, that this is when I was younger and more irresponsible. We packed up all our stuff a couple days before and bought fish tickets in New York and got on a bus and went to the fish show in New York. And on the way to the fish show, I called in and I held my nose so that I would sound a little sick and said, "Teddy, I'm sick. I can't come in today." And Teddy said, "Bullshit, you're fired." Click.
He knew. He knew.
Dude, I will say this.
That's incredible.
I will say this. For all of that man's short fuse and for all of his little warts, dude, he knows people.
Yeah.
He knows when you're lying.
He had me down to a T.
He knows when you're lying. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And so I've got to ask, do you still go and see fish regularly?
It's funny, I actually hate fish.
Yeah, fish fucking sucks. Look, I have a lot of friends who love fish. They got a couple good songs.
You better apologize
the
to Rod.
Mama Dance, the Twist, but other than that, fuck you.
You better apologize to Rod right now.
Rod, I love you, but fish sucks.
Fish fans have to be on so many drugs to enjoy fish shows, is what I'm realizing.
If this was a different podcast, I would tell you about my fish show experience.
Are you going to finish that story, or should I do it? So let's just, I guess I'm going to do it because he's giving me a look like he doesn't know where I'm going with this. So from what I understand is that Tom and Brian had a wonderful time at the fish show, and maybe there was some extracurricular activities occurring.
LSD.
You had to enjoy the fish show. I mean, you can't do it.
Again.
There were little people up on
to enjoy a fish show
on hangers above the stage.
That's right.
And
to enjoy
I saw the videos.
Have you ever been to Cirque du Soleil? I mean, you need a little bit of an extra boost. So anyway, they take their little extra boost. They have a good time. And they come out of the fish show, and it's New Year's, right? So it's New Year's Eve going into New Year's Day, and it's New York City. It's Times Square. It's Manhattan. They're buzzing around, and they're absolutely high off their ass, and they are standing on a street corner. And the way I remember the story, as far as Brian telling it to me, was that you guys were standing on a corner, waving to everybody, "Happy New Year! Happy New Year! How are you doing?" And people were looking at you like you had 7 heads. And Brian surmised that what you were actually saying was, "New right? Instead of Happy New Year. So I always love that part of the story. And then, of course, Tom came right back and got his job back a week later.
And the moral of the story is kids don't do drugs.
Always quit. Also, always quit. Follow your dreams.
Follow your dreams, kids, yeah.
Take chances, man.
You know, if I had gone to the diner that night and worked,
been miserable.
It would have been miserable. It wouldn't have been any story.
Your life would have a little less color, you know?
And instead, now he is happily on this podcast.
Yes.
Making a shit ton of money.
That's right. Tommy, you made it through the top 10. We're so excited for you. We're going to jump into our next section in a second. Hot damn, that was a good top 10. That was a lot of fun. Tom, some great stories. I feel like, man, I didn't know what I envisioned for this particular session, but it delivered.
We'll see. We'll
really
see. Maybe I feel like the people are going to be a little disappointed. Dirty Tom, you've had such an impact on this podcast before you've ever been here. There were no deaths. There was no like fucking unwanted pregnancies. All right, you've failed us as a human being.
Come
okay?
on.
How can I live up to the expectations that you've given the people?
That's true.
They don't call him unwanted pregnancy, Tom. They call him Dirty Tom. You know, he's Dirty Tom.
The one thing we're gonna give you, Tom's duck recipe.
Yeah.
Dirty Tom's roadside duck recipe.
That's right.
Just follow us on Instagram and Twitter.
Yep, check it out in the comments, folks.
There you go.
Right. So we always like to wrap up the pod once you get through the gauntlet with the how's our driving section. We want your recommendations, either questions we didn't ask, how we can improve the show, or just good food and drink recommendations that you might have. So if there's a restaurant you've been to recently that you like, let us know. Come on.
From me, okay. Great show. I think you guys are doing awesome.
Oh.
That's not what he told me before we were recording.
He's also listened to none of the episodes.
Yeah, exactly. He's never listened to any of it.
False. I listened to one episode. Yeah. The one with Sid.
Oh, really?
It's a great episode.
Yeah. At least part of it. Good episode.
At least part of it, right. He's listening.
All right. So go on.
Great restaurants that I've been to lately. Atlas Group restaurants in Baltimore are badass. I started going to those
Chop
the first
Tank,
time. Yeah, they're a little pricey, but like Tagliata, awesome Italian.
I mean, their food's outstanding. Cafe Disco.
I haven't been to that one. What's the Mexican one?
Tio Pepe?
No, that's not Atlas Group. Maximon, I think.
Yeah,
right there on the water.
Yeah, that's a good one.
They got an awesome sushi place downtown as well.
No doubt.
Yeah, very cool.
Atlas is awesome. Big shout out to their restaurant group.
But truly, my favorite places are little hole in the wall, dingy, dirty bars.
No doubt.
Dirty bars, and those would be things like Harford House on Harford Road. They pour fucking mean Jameson. Places that are nice and small, but not particularly dirty. In fact, very clean and nice. I'd say Pappas on Taylor.
I love Pappas.
Pappas and Taylor, and
Oprah's been there. Is what Hafford House? What did you say? Harford House. Isn't that the one we stopped by when we were all really fucking drunk? Yeah. And we went in, we got a big ass fucking shot. Yeah.
You order one shot and they pour you like
I love how you guys can discern the one time that you two were really fucking drunk.
Yeah. There's a weird chemistry there.
Unbelievable. All right, well that's good. I like that. So, have there been any new dives introduced to your life recently?
I'll tell you, about a year ago, I started going to One Eyed Mike's down in Fells Point.
Oh, okay.
That place is the bomb.
Slaps. It's a GM bar, and one of our other. We're gonna have another esteemed colleague that we've mentioned here, Brian, on this pod, and can't wait to have him on. But he was a bartender there for a while.
And if you go to One on Mike's, you got to get the chicken liver pate.
Oh, it's the bomb.
So good.
Yes.
Yeah. So delicious. Well, that's awesome, man. Thank you for the recommendations. All right, we're going to do our quick wrap up here. Closing questions. We're going to get you out of here. Mm-hmm. Why do you still do this? AKA, why do you hate yourself? Now, you're out of the industry.
But we still know you hate yourself. So.
Yeah. So just kind of apply it to your, your former industry experience.
Yeah. I'll tell you, man, the money was great. It was easy. You can go in and get cash day up.
Yeah, fast money.
That was the best part for me. Yeah. Yeah. And even though I'm pretty streamlined, I like to think of myself as a people person. So it's always nice, like serving the customer. Oh yeah, you're doing a good job.
You're charming as fuck, man.
And getting money for it, bro.
And I gotta say, even though we're saying it's easy, serving drinks and serving food it's really not that easy. There's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot. It's basically the fact that people are expecting so much out of you. There's no other job where your customer is there rating you the entire time. So,
right. Mm-hmm. And to be honest with you, man, you're one of the hands down best servers I've ever met, and it's so strange to juxtapose that with who I know you to actually be in your real life, which is
Dirty Tom.
Dirty Tom. Yeah. All right. Last question.
Uh-huh.
If you opened a bar, what would you call it?
Or what would the theme?
What would the theme be? Yeah.
I think the theme would be simplicity. Yeah.
No ordering off the menu. There's only 3 items.
Yeah. There's 3 items, and
There's the dirty, there's the Tom, and then there's the Dirty Tom, and then there's Coca-Cola. Get the fuck out if you want anything else.
Yeah. I think that'd be right.
I like it. I like it.
And
Simple.
we'd have Jameson.
Do what you do well.
Jameson.
Do what you do
And
well.
also, he wouldn't work there. He would just own the establishment.
Yes.
That's exactly how it would go.
Well, Dirty Tom, thank you. It's been a fucking pleasure, man. Have an absolutely beautiful life. We might have to bring you back on the pod at some point to do a follow-up, because I think there were a lot of stories that we didn't even get to. But, dog, it's been a pleasure. Let's raise these Jameson glasses one more time. Cheers, boys.
Keep it real.
Enjoy that JMO, baby.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening along. We really hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, we release new episodes every fucking week. No doubt. Like every goddamn week. Big shout out to our friends at Trauma Parlor, whose song Fast One you heard throughout the show. If you haven't checked them out yet, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. They're fucking awesome musicians. They got some great songs. Go check them out.
They're on Facebook, Spotify, and you got to show them some love because they've been so good to us. If you want to be one of our regulars, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at BRP Drink Along. You can always listen on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify at the Bartender Rant Podcast. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review. We really need the personal validation.
Come on, people. We really do. All right? Show us you love us, all right?
Mike also needs some sobriety.
Fuck you, Steve, all right? If you want to be one of our VIP listeners, please subscribe to the Bartender Rant Podcast on Patreon. VIPs will always have a seat at the bar. You'll get access to our bonus content, you'll have a chance to vote on new episode content, and you're going to receive a 10% discount on all of our merchandise.
And if you want to be one of our big tippers,
AKA one of our Bozels,
feel free to make a donation on PayPal under the Bartender Rant Podcast at gmail.com. Mike and I do this because we love the service industry and we love bringing you great content, but this is not our day job. That's one of the reasons we can't release an episode on time.
Exactly.
With your help, we can keep the stories coming and interview local bartenders from coast to coast. And as always, don't just listen along.
Drink along.
Fuck yeah.